What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. About a year and a half ago from today, I was a truck driver making anywhere between 12 to 1600 a week, working over 70 plus hours, and I was miserable. And today I want to share my transformation story from truck driver to now Uber fleet owner. Because if I can do this, anybody can. As a flatbed truck driver, I was working anywhere between 12 to 15 hours per day. And that was as a local truck driver. Imagine that, working 15 to 16 hours per day and you a local truck driver. The only thing you're doing is delivering to different cities inside your state. I had to report back to the same person every day. I had to take on the same route and also the same pay. I was probably capped around 60 to 70 grand a year. No matter how hard I worked, I couldn't go over that. Not only that, but I also had zero freedom. It was hard for me to get a day off. And then on the days that I decided I wanted to work harder, I didn't get paid more. So I worked harder for the same amount of money per day, per week, whatever it is that you want to call it. I remember sometimes sitting in the truck driving, like, it got to be something better out here for me. Like, I think it's time to take a risk and start a business. I was 24 years old at the time, burnt out from my job, and I felt trapped. So that's when I started researching ways to make money with more freedom. That's when I stumbled across Uber Black. Now, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought it was like regular Uber. And I'm like, man, I couldn't see myself at the time driving people around. But as I started researching more and more, I discovered drivers or Uber Black drivers who was making anywhere between 200, 300, 400 per day. That's when I'm like, you know what? Let me figure this out. I literally spent weeks just researching, calling different departments, Googling the requirements, trying to piece together what I needed to get started. There was no roadmap back then. My first car was a 2021 black on black Land Range Rover. And I chose this car specifically because it qualified for Uber Black. Now this actually ended up being a mistake, and I'll tell y'all why in a second. So for my first day, I was actually on the edge. And the reason why is because I never picked up strangers before, not only picking them up, but also picking them up in a Range Rover. Long story short, I ended up making $240 in less than 6 hours. I vividly remember calling my partner saying, hey, I just made what I make in my trucking job in less than 6 hours. Now, for my first week of driving, I made over $2,200, which I was actually amazed because it's like $2,200 just for driving people around is good money. But it wasn't the best because that's when I learned about different ride types. So I made that money, but it strictly wasn't just with Uber Black rides. I actually had to cut on comfort. And then that's when I started learning about different class of people, because the comfort people is not like the Uber Black people. Sometimes you get a mix of different groups and it's not the best. But long story short, that's when I learned, like, hey, you can't depend on Uber Black, because for those of you that don't know, sometimes Uber Black gets slow. And instead of just sitting around waiting on a ride for hours on hours, I just cut on comfort and I just start taking comfort rides. Now, going back to the mistake I made about purchasing the Range Rover. The Range Rover is only a 4-seater SUV, which I was limiting my earning potential by buying a 4-seater SUV because I wasn't able to pick up big groups or big families. When it comes to purchasing a 4-seater SUV like the Range Rover for the Uber Black business, it only qualifies you for 4 different ride types: Uber Black Hourly, Uber Comfort, and Uber X. And this is when I learned I made my first mistake in the Uber Black business, not buying a large size SUV, which led to me leaving money on the table. But the game changer for me is when I started to go outside of these rideshare platforms and sell people my service. I'm talking about corporate clients, business owners, athletes, sometimes even entertainers. And the good thing about them is they pay double than what the rideshare apps pay. Also, there's no commission. Not only that, but if you offer them good service or give them good service, they will refer your service to somebody else. Fast forward now, I'm 11 months into business. I currently have 3 SUVs in my Uber fleet. My best month was October, making over $11,000 and some change. And the crazy part is I'm working less hours than I ever did trucking. I'm sharing this with y'all because I wish somebody had laid all this out for me when I was starting. If you're in a situation like I was, working too hard for little money, this might be your way out. Drop a comment down below if you want me to break down any part of this journey. With that being said, I'll catch y'all next video.